Up tonight on race day, a Northwest Stars charge puts the heat in an Arizona winter. The world's top road racers soak up the Florida sunshine, testing for their first round-the-clock battle. And Marlin goes fishing for 3 straight at Big D. We'll take a snapshot of Sterling's chances. It's a new year and a new time for race day. Sunday night, January 7th, 1996. Well, good evening. Welcome to Race Day. Glad you found us at our new time, 11 o'clock Eastern on a Sunday night. I'm Rick Benjamin. Some racing, some wheeling and dealing, and plenty of testing to catch you up on tonight. But we open up out west. NASCAR Wintertime Thunder in the Arizona desert. The late models at center stage for their final time this winter, this evening at Tucson Raceway Park. 150 laps the distance, and a family affair. Herschel McGriff Jr. and his famous dad, Herschel Sr., both in the field this day. But all eyes were on Greg Biffle, the Portland, Oregon star, who'd won the first 2 races in this short series in his 16 car here. Biffle qualified only 12th today, but charged up to 5th in the early going, while Las Vegas star Chris Trickle was busy showing the way. Now, grandfather Herschel McGriff is in the field. How about a racing grandmother? This is Fran Lundberg in the 71. She made the show today. The 55-year-old looped it in turn 2 early on. Just shy of the 50-lap mark. Sean Woodside in the 45 got going, took care of Trickle and the lead here by going low and would hold it through the halfway break. Second half of today's chase, Woodside gets in trouble with a lap car drilling the 5. Trickle in the 70 able to regain the top spot. Just after that, Woodside's victory bid went away, as did his motor, and from there, Greg Biffle was on the charge. Coming up here to take second from Paul Banghart late in the going to go after the leader with 20 left. Biffle's engine wasn't up to it, though. He lost a cylinder and had to settle for second behind Trickle, who had transmission woes himself. Those tranny troubles, though, did not derail Trickle's winning bid this day. Seeing the checkered flag there, Biffle's second, good enough to give him the winter season title in Tucson, worth $5,000. Your Speed Stick Fast Track finishing update brought to you by men in here. Trickle, Biffle, Jody Tanner on for third, then Paul Banghart, and a call to 57-year-old Carl Trimmer, who made up the top 5 today at Tucson, and a great finish for Trimmer. Well, this week, big changes for one longtime Winston Cup venue. We told you first this morning how New Hampshire Speedway owner Bob Baer has now bought half of North Wilkesboro from the Staley family. NASCAR is saying that only the first race this year at North Wilkesboro is firm. Bruton Smith Speedway Motorsports Corporation had bought the other half of the track last June, and there's plenty of speculation now that those deals could mean the end of Winston Cup racing at North Wilkesboro. One of their dates could well go to New Hampshire, and the other to Smith's new Texas Motor Speedway. Race Day Steve Burns tonight has more on the future of one of the sport's original bull rings.
When Bob Baer offered to purchase the remaining stock of North Wilkesboro Speedway, track president Mike Staley jumped at the offer. With only 34,000 seats to sell, Staley knew his sanction agreements from NASCAR were in jeopardy.
They're wanting to go to larger markets. I can see that for the larger purses and then the bigger tracks, and I can see that coming, and it's been a matter of time.
As far as the future of Wilkesboro, everything's still pretty cloudy right now because, in essence, he owns half of it. Speedway Motorsports, our company, owns the other half, and until we sit down with him and have a lengthy meeting about what he wants to do, and we explain to him what we want to do, it's just speculation.
Darrell Waltrip, a 10-time winner at North Wilkesboro, surprisingly says it's time for NASCAR to hit new markets.
I want to go to Texas, I want to go to California, and I want to go to Homestead, and I want to go to Las Vegas. So I'm not the only one that wants that.
Well, it's important if the sport's going to grow. It's just, I guess, going to Japan. You know, those are important key elements to this sport growing to a new level. And if that's what NASCAR wants, and that's what we all want, sponsor-wise and everywhere, fan base-wise, then that's what is going to happen somewhere down the road. But is this the time? Who knows? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
This is Steve Burns reporting for Race Day.
All right, thanks, Steve. No doubt about it. Big changes ahead at Wilkesboro. We'll have a lot more at Winston Cup racing coming up in minutes right here on Race Day. Counting down to the month of speed, February at Daytona, the Rolex 24 for the IMSA sports car set will open the month. First weekend of February, the 3rd and 4th. Testing underway on the 3.8-mile road course this weekend. It'll be the 3rd year for IMSA's World Sports Cars to try to win the 24 hours. The Ferraris, the Momo team, likely will be strong contenders, as will the French Courage team and the Dyson cars. But the GT automobiles could be contenders for the overall win as well. The new Olds Auroras in Bricks Racing colors have been running 3 seconds quicker than any other of the GTS1 entries. The Porsches in GTS2 should also be strong contenders. One of the lead drivers for the Florida-based champion team is Bill Adam.
Well, of course, IMSA embodies two different types of cars. There's the tube-frame car that more of the NASCAR watchers are familiar with, and this is a car that essentially looks like something that's on the street, but it's a race car underneath all the skin. The Porsche really is what looks like a race car, but under the skin it's a street car. And what that'll do is to translate into strength for us, because a lot of the pieces that we are using, suspension arms and brakes, for example, are directly off a street car. They're designed to go 200,000 miles without problems. So the long-term effects are that we will last longer.
International road race star Hans Stuck will team with Adam in those Porsches at Daytona. Stuck says the cars have been very strong in testing.
The Porsche is an endurance car, as you probably know. Porsche is the best sports car in the world, and so it has proven in many races. By the time the longer the race lasts, the better it is, you know. But also for here, we have to find a good qualifying combination to be up front on the grid. So it's getting quite difficult, but we will do it.
Adam says the Porsche GTs may have one secret advantage as well at Daytona.
I think the biggest advantage that we may have is that Rick Benjamin applied for a seat in the car, and we told him that absolutely not, Rick, you can't drive.
Oh, thanks, Bill. No respect at all for the anchor. See if we put Adam on race day again anytime soon. We wish him well, though, when they go to Daytona next month. And there's more to come on race day tonight. We'll update you on several driver deals set for the new year and getting ready for the Daytona 500. Will Sterling be able to grab the gold 3 years running? We'll check out his prospects next.
Race Day is brought to you by Mopar, Chrysler Corporation Parts, and the Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, Jeep, and Eagle dealers who sell and install them.
Welcome back. Testing in high gear now for the Winston Cup opener, the Daytona 500 in a few weeks. The Chevrolet teams got first crack at the high banks this past week, and much of the attention centered on last year's contenders for the title, Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt. Race Day's Matt Yoakum tells us, though, don't count out a Tennessean who will try for 3 straight in a few weeks.
Since 1959, Daytona has been a test of man and machine. Sterling Marlin has passed the test with flying colors, winning the past 2 Daytona 500s. Now Sterling is gunning for a record 3rd straight 500 win.
You know, to win 2 in a row is unbelievable, and you know, I believe we can do it. The team, like I said, has really worked hard all winter and built a new car, and we got the car we won one here with, one Talladega. So we just give it the best shot.
The Morgan McClure team began their restrictor plate reign in 1991, with Ernie Irvin winning the team's first Daytona 500. After 2 more, team owner Larry McClure bases their dominance at Daytona on testing.
You have to learn how to test and learn how to gain information and know when you've made a gain. And you don't want to trick yourself out of the ballpark. So we've been real good at that. 3 wins here out of the last 5, and we're going for 4 out of 6.
While the Ford Bunch has won NASCAR's biggest race 3 times, Dale Earnhardt is the Speedway's all-time win leader with 26 victories. But still missing from Earnhardt's packed trophy case is an elusive first Daytona 500 victory.
We'll put more emphasis on this race, probably do 10 or 15 other races, but that's what it's all about, trying to win here at Daytona. It's the race you think about.
The count has reached 0 for 17, but the man in black has pulled out all stops in 96 in what he hoped will be his secret weapon, a car built specially for the Big D.
Hopefully it'll be a key to being even better. You got to do everything you can. It's real competitive out here.
In Daytona and a little under the weather, I'm Matt Yoakum reporting for Race Day.
But Matt gave it his all for tonight's race day. The 4 teams go to work at the Speedway this week. We'll preview the season for one of the top Thunderbird runners coming up in minutes here on Race Day. Some driver moves to update you on as well now. IMSA driver Darren Brassfield is going to go NASCAR Super Truck racing this year. Brassfield drives one of the Olds Auroras in GTS action for Bricks Racing. Bricks will run at least 10 Super Truck races with Brassfield in the saddle this season. As we first told you a couple of months ago, Harry Gant is coming out of retirement. He'll run 10 Super Truck events this year in a number 33 Chevrolet, but Skoal will not be his sponsor. No sponsor announced yet for Harry Gant's return to competition. Richard Petty's team also making some news this week. Petty's Dodge Super Truck effort gaining another sponsor. Georgia Pacific, the wood products company, will join Cummins Diesel on the side of the trucks that Rich Bickle will steer for the King this coming season. And one note, this morning we told you how Stevie Reeves would drive for a new Busch Grand National team this year as we watched the super truck of the Petty team go around the track a couple of weeks back during an early test. Stevie Reeves is going to drive Fords, not Chevrolets, with the Clabber Girls sponsorship. The team will be owned by John Andretti, Kerry Agajanian, and yes, indeed, Mike Curb, the former record producer and artist himself years and years ago. There was wild action indoors up in Dayton, Ohio last night. The Neymar's Midgets running the Nutter Memorial event, a 75-lap feature, the headliner. We're going to show you some highlights tonight. Wild action in one of the heats. This is Dave Furman in the 32, catching a wheel, spinning, trying to drive out of it. He drills the concrete, almost catches a photog, too, in the main. Keith Butler on the pole here in the 15 car, leading him from the green. Ted Hines and young Ryan Newman also in the thick of things. Danny Penz and John Myers get hooked up here on the backstretch. They bounce away, both able to continue. Myers won the race 2 years ago. This is a 4-car tangle. Penz, Jimmy McCune, Bill Lewis, and Norm Young getting together. Everyone okay. They untangle and go on. McCune has another skirmish here. Runs over Mike Hurst on the inside and spins. Wayne Smith had to stop. Close call, too, for race leader Keith Butler, just able to sneak by. McCune again here. This is a push on Roy Carruthers in the 5 down the backstretch. They get hooked up. Smith involved another time, late in the going. Ted Hines and Ryan Newman battle for second. Butler has paid the bill and checked out in his black car, the 12 there. Butler wins the 75-lap main in that car that he built himself with Scat VW power. Butler, Hines, Newman, and the miraculous one, Mel Kenyon, over McCune for 4th spot. Indoor midget excitement last night up in Dayton, and the weather kept that race from being a big success at the gate, but 28 cars showed, and everyone had a great time. A lot of tough action. More to come. Winston Cup challenger Joe Nemechek is just back from testing at Daytona. We'll talk with him and find out about his prospects for the new season when we come back on Race Day. Welcome back. As we told you earlier, Winston Cup testing is underway. Chevrolet teams getting first crack at Daytona this week. 11 cars on the track. Terry Labonte, the quickest car of the 3 days, but former Busch Series champ Joe Nemechek, 6th quickest, a best lap of 186.335, and we're pleased to welcome Joe here to Race Day. Good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
Was the weather a little better in Daytona than it's been here this week?
It was nice in Daytona. It was a little bit cool, but I tell you what, we come back and we get hammered with snow here in Charlotte.
Now, are you happy with what you achieved? We're looking at some video of your test session earlier this week. Are you happy with what you got done down there?
Our team is happy, but we didn't quite learn enough. So we're going to go back and we're regrouping at the shop as we speak, trying to get some new things to try to the cars. With the new rules that NASCAR came up with on the engines and the bodies, it's hard to find speed, so we got to work extra hard.
Everybody's down about 3 miles an hour so far. Right. Can you get that back, do you think, before race day?
No, there's no way to get that speed back. You know, NASCAR wants the cars to run slower, and they've done a lot of things that I think are going to make the fans happy. They're going to see some really exciting races.
Opportunities to pass at Daytona more than what we've seen maybe in the past.
Well, I think it's going to make the teams more even. Where you used to have a pack of 6 cars break away, it's going to be a pack of 20 cars now. It's just going to make it more exciting.
Well, look forward to that. Now, you've made some changes in your team, Nemco Motorsports, for the coming season.
Yes, I have. We have a new crew chief. His name is Jeff Bice. He came from Alan Kowicki. He worked with him for a few years. And also have Bobby Moody. He was with Richard Childress Racing for a number of years, and we're getting that experience in our team, and that's what we lacked last year, and hopefully we're going to have that Burger King car up front.
Now, your deal with Burger King is locked in now for a long term, right?
Yes, we've re-signed the deal with Burger King, and we're looking at some long-term stuff, but everybody's just getting going into this. It's going to be my second year as an owner-driver, and it's Burger King's second year in NASCAR racing, and everybody's excited.
And you'll be busy with Busch Grand National and some super truck racing for your brother, right?
Yes, we're going to run some races for Bell South Mobility in the Busch car, probably 10 or 12 races, and I'm helping my brother get his super truck team going, and there's just a lot of things going on.
Now, you had 4 top 10s last year, a couple of good qualifying runs, but you've got a ways to go, I know, to be where you want to be. What do you need to improve on this year?
I think the biggest thing that our team can improve on is our racing, as far as being out there and getting the car to perform in those 100 laps at a time when we change tires and do pit stops. Everything else has worked pretty good. We've qualified good. We just got to get that racing experience.
Looking back over the last few years, you've really had a quick rise to Winston Cup racing. Didn't take you long to get here. You were Rookie of the Year in All-Pro, Champion in All-Pro, then Busch Grand National Rookie of the Year and Champ. Is Winston Cup racing a lot tougher than you thought it'd be?
It's definitely tougher than I ever thought it would be. It's the toughest thing anybody could ever do. if you wanted a challenge, this is a place to come and get a challenge.
Well, we look forward to a good year from you. Joe Nemechek with us here on Race Day today. Thanks a lot, Joe. Good luck at Daytona.
Thank you.
And when we come back on Race Day, we'll take a look at what's racing ahead on television for you this coming week, our Motorsports TV lineup. More in a moment.
Promotional fee or consideration paid by Winston Cup Scene. If you're into racing, you've got to read Winston Cup Scene. Call now to subscribe to a full year of weekly race coverage with the nation's largest auto racing newspaper.
We are back in a big development this week in dirt track late model racing. Two-time Habitampa Series champion Scott Bloomquist is taking on a teammate. Bloomquist says he's joining forces with a fellow Tennessean, Ronnie Johnson, who will steer his Ford Probe late model. This is Bloomquist last year. Bloomquist won more than $300,000, several big events in 1995. He says this year he's going to do some asphalt racing, maybe a limited Busch Grand National schedule. So he'll run Johnson all season long and team up with Ronnie Johnson at some of the big events. Johnson from Chattanooga, Tennessee, has a great victory record as well in dirt track late model racing. Should do very well in Bloomquist's Barry Wright-built late model cars this season. There's Bloomquist from 1 year ago. The season starts in Georgia next month for those teams. Well, tomorrow, Ford's Winston Cup teams will get their first chance to test at Daytona, and one of the drivers looking for speed will be Ricky Rudd, who finished 9th in points in 1995. Race Day's Ralph Shaheen tonight continues his preview of the top 10 teams looking into 1996. Ralph says Rudd thinks his chances hinge on how well he and his new crew chief, Richard Broom, can work together.
The 1995 Winston Cup Tour marked the sophomore season for the RPM team and their tied-back Ford Thunderbirds. There was, however, no sophomore jinx for this organization. For the 13th season in a row, Ricky picked up at least one win, earning the top spot at the Duraloop 500 at Phoenix.
No, didn't think that much about that record until I think the press sort of got onto it, and then the fan support, just unbelievable fan support. I probably got more Lucky Charms up there than in one race shop than anybody's ever had, because people truly want to see that trend continue.
Half of Ricky's 16 career Winston Cup wins have come on tracks a mile or less in size. However, since he has been on his own, he hasn't felt that his short track program has been up to par. 1996 could be the year that Ricky gets back up to speed at the smaller venues.
It's really a combination of just some experimental work and some R&D and engineering support, and also just hard work by everybody here, and finally got something that worked and felt good to me on the short track, and feel like we've got our short track program in gear now.
Ricky added 10 top 5s and 6 top 10s to the win at Phoenix to finish 9th in the Winston Cup point standings. He also earned a spot in the upcoming Busch Clash by winning the pole position at both Sears Point and at the October race at Charlotte. The big change for Rudd in 1996 will be at the crew chief position, as Richard Broom comes on board. The two have worked together in the past, but not in this type of a situation where Ricky is the owner and the driver. One area Ricky is hoping Broom can help is the Super Speedway program. Rudd's best was an 8th at Daytona in July, but he is inconsistent on the big tracks, as a 41st at Talladega shows. Like all competitors, though, Ricky does feel they have a shot at the title.
Can it happen? I'd say yes, a possibility. It's probably, I think, to be fair, Richard and I need to have a season working together before I could sit here and say we're going to challenge seriously for a championship, but we're going to give it a darn good try, and it's not impossible for it to happen.
If nothing else, you can be sure Ricky Rudd will find a way to get at least one win next season to keep his streak alive. Reporting for Race Day, I'm Ralph Shaheen.
All right, thanks, Ralph. We certainly wish Ricky well. Full coverage of Rudd's team and all the 4 teams as they test at Daytona next Sunday right here on Race Day. And there's more to come tonight. We'll name our Mopar Performer of the Week and a nasty winter Sunday in much of the United States. But we'll take you down under for a shot of summertime. Stick with us. We are back in time for our Mopar Performer of the Week. Some good candidates this Sunday night, like midget winner Keith Butler and Winter Series NASCAR champ Greg Biffle, but our choice this week is Las Vegas area stock car star Chris Trickle, a distant relative of legendary Dick Trickle. Chris had to battle a balky transmission and some tough competition out in Tucson this Sunday to grab the victory. He'd been close before, but finally got a major win in that NASCAR Late Model Winter Series at Tucson. Chris Trickle, our Mopar Performer of the Week. And finally tonight, still summertime in the land down under. We've just celebrated New Year's Day here, but how about Boxing Day in Australia? At Claremont Speedway this week, they celebrated Boxing Day with the super sedans, the speed cars, these guys, the midgets to you and me, and the sprint cars in action. One of the heats here, Hot Shoe Keith Charles will flip his speed car in the first turn. He's okay. A little later, Joe Little in the 5 blows the motor big time, and Tom Watson Sr. gets into the wet stuff. Watch this endo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Tom Watson upside down. Michael Figlabini on the inside here has the name of the week and the feature win of the week, too, in the red #1 car, winning the speed car main event. And then it was time for, these aren't the super sedans, I think this is a demo derby. It looks like the highways around Charlotte this snowy Sunday. Check this in-car footage. These guys even have spotters riding shotgun. Look at the left seat there. Now, Joe Nemechek told us how tough it was to get here for his interview tonight. Maybe that's he and Andrea coming down the road from Lake Norman. Nah, just kidding. Wild action, certainly, in Australia this past week. And that's all the time we have tonight on Race Day. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next Sunday at our new times, noon Eastern, and then 11 o'clock in the evening Eastern time with all the latest in motorsports, more Winston Cup testing, more IMSA and IndyCar preparations, driver moves, and a lot more. It's all ahead for you next Sunday. Have a great week. We'll see you in 1 week on Race Day.